Now, in my last video, I mentioned the Spanish Inquisition, the Reconquista. The Reconquista. Well, no. Let's back up. In the 8th century, hold on a second. There it is. Well, even before the 8th century, in the 7th century, Muslim armies poured across Christian lands. North Africa, they swept across North Africa. And unlike what almost every Muslim will tell you, they say Islam wasn't spread by the sword. It absolutely was. And they will tell you, oh, jihad, you can't kill women and children. Well, somebody should have told the first four caliphs of Islam about that, because these are supposedly the most noble people right after the perfect man, Muhammad, the perfect model of man, as he's supposed to be. And in order, and I had memorized these names since I can remember, Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Ali. And I believe Ali got up to Spain. And then after him, the Muslim armies charged into Spain and conquered almost all of the Iberian Peninsula. No, they actually did conquer all of it, because they went up to into France, and they were routed by Charles Martel, Charles the Hammer, and he set them back in their tracks. Now, when they came across North Africa, they did so letting the streets run red with blood from the Christians. Very violent mass murder. Now, when they controlled Spain, they didn't want any Christian governors over the land. They didn't want any of these towns run by Christians, because throughout Spain, the Christians had been rebelling, and there were different Christian kingdoms, different Muslim kingdoms, and the Christians were their enemy, because the Christians didn't like the idea of living under Muslims and having to pay the dimitude, living in dimitude and having to pay the jizya tax. And it says in the Quran, they must pay the jizya tax and feel themselves subdued. That means humiliated. You know, when you pay your tax, you get slapped across the face. Now, since the 8th century until the 15th century, the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, was under the control of the Muslims. Now, in 1492, they finally kicked out the last of the Muslims and said, all right. Now, just like when we did with Germany, or whenever anybody fights a war, you find out who are the collaborators and you get rid of them too. Well, the Muslims put the Jews, as the head of these different cities and villages. And they did that for a very pragmatic reason, because they weren't Muslims, they weren't Christians. They put them up there so they could be directly responsible to the Muslim ruler. Now, you had Jews that were already in Spain, but then you had the Jews that came across from North Africa. So when they kicked out the Muslims, who did they say? Okay, the enemies are the Muslims and the Jews. The political enemies of the Christian peoples of the Iberian Peninsula were the Muslims and the Jews. This is a fact. And I'm not a Western Christian. I'm part of the Eastern Orthodox Church, so I don't have to defend the West or any of the actions that they did. But I think, just out of honesty and truth, should shed some light on the Spanish Inquisition. I think only 3,000 people were killed, and there were these long court cases. The Spanish Inquisition wasn't people rising up with pitchforks killing people. It wasn't the the World War II Holocaust. They had trials for these people. In the Spanish Inquisition, yeah, it was seen as somewhat religious, but it was done by the king and queen of Spain. There was a separate Inquisition that was run by the church, and people would actually scream blasphemies when they were getting arrested, so they would get dealt with by the church. Because if you were dealt with by the king of Spain, you're killed. And let's not fool ourselves. Every single thing in Europe was done in the name of some form of Christianity or bishop. Eastern Orthodoxy was alive and well in England and in Ireland up until 1066, even though the West broke in 1054. Why is that? Because William the Conqueror came over with permission from bishops and holding these symbols and went in and conquered the land and installed new bishops. Everything was done in the name of God. So to say, oh, the Spanish Inquisition is something particular to Christianity is ridiculous. It was only done by Christians, and it was done because of Christianity. No, this was political. But yet we unceasingly hear, oh, the Jews were, I mean, we get the idea that they were wearing yellow stars and walking around in stripes. Well, you know what's kind of funny is that the Muslims made the Jews wear yellow stars. That's where Hitler got the idea. So, even if the Holocaust didn't look at the Spanish Inquisition, uh, it's funny. The Orthodox see this long history of Jewish persecution as something different than what the West sees it. Uh, the Orthodox countries and the Orthodox Church, well, I shouldn't say the Church because uh, it's not a part of the Church. Uh, the Orthodox countries know about cases where the Jews massacred Christians and where it was persecution of Christians and not Jews. But you bring that up and you're an anti-Semite. Well, this whole blocking any discussion of it. And again, I am by no means an anti-Semite. I have Semitic blood in me. The word is foolish. People don't even remember what the word means. Again, I think I have to restate this. In Germany, this guy said, well, we shouldn't hate the Jews because of their religion. We should hate them for their blood. They're people from the Orient. And this would group in gypsies and anybody from the Middle East. And in many cases, people from Southern Europe, darker skin. So they're Semites. They're from, using a biblical term, which, if you're going by the Bible, then 1/3 of the earth is Semitic. Because you have Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and with intermarrying, everybody would be a descendant of Shem. So we're all Semites, Shemites, if you're going to do that. But this word Semite is meant the Oriental people. What do I mean by Oriental people? Not Chinese. I mean the actual Orient, Middle East. And that's what it was applied as. Now, certain groups have co-opted it just to mean against the Jews. And then it means something even more than that. Anybody even questioning Judaism. Because I've seen with my own eyes people who are shouted down for asking a question. This needs to stop because it's funny. When we speak about Christianity, we can boldly proclaim it to the atheist, to the Muslim, to anybody else. But when Judaism comes in, there's an apology. This is disgusting. Now, Wikipedia, again, it's not an authoritative source whatsoever, but it's an open source and it's criticized, which is good, which makes it almost, which gives it more of an honestness than just something in an encyclopedia or something done by a certain college of authors. Now, if you go on there, in this, you don't have to go on Wikipedia. This is open and honest. This is, I don't want to say common knowledge because I hate that. Type in Jesus, and then go down and see all the views of Jesus. Well, the Hindus think he's a god. The Buddhists, for the longest time, say he was a wise teacher. The Muslims believe he's the prophet. He's the Logos, born of a virgin. A very high view of him, although I would disagree with them on many things. The Christians, we worship him as God. Every single religion says something positive about Jesus. Look what the Jews say. He's one of the worst people. May his name be erased forever from the earth. And then people, well, it's always been the Christians that were against the Jews. If you actually look historically, the Jews were seeking to kill him. And They were. He was going around claiming he was the Messiah. This was going to upset things. Many people didn't like him, so they sought to kill him. Now, who actually killed him? Was it the Romans? Was it the Jews? Uh, Christ took upon his own death. He marched towards it bravely. So we don't have to put the blame of his death on anybody. But the Jews openly opposed Christ when he was teaching, and they openly opposed Christ and the Christians uh, for the first 3 centuries when Christians had no power and were being horribly, brutally persecuted. Constantine stopped the persecution of Christianity and made Christianity a legal religion, not the state religion. That was his great grandson. After I think either his great grandson or his great great grandson died, Constantine, Julian the Apostate rose up, and you know what he did? He hated Christianity, so he tried to bring back all the cults and all the gods of Rome. One thing he did, he said, "Oh, the Jews really hate the Christians, so I'm going to exalt them up. Yeah, let's try to rebuild the temple and do all this kind of stuff." And it was after him, and after he was taking away Christian lands and robbing the Christians, he said, "Oh, blessed art the poor. Okay, I'm going to make the Christians very poor," because for a short period of time, Christians could breathe a sigh of relief. Not getting hunted down like animals in a field. And then it escapes me, the emperor just after Julian the Apostate said, "That's it. No more of this is going to happen. Christianity, state religion, all the other cults, shutting them down." That was just basically for survival. But we hear this long history and persecutions of the Jews at the hand of Christians, and we hear that Hitler was a Christian. If you're going to go that route, then the communists were Jews. 95% of all the commissars in the Soviet Union for the first 30 years were Jews. If you're going to call Adolf Hitler a Christian, you got to be fair. And the artificially incited famine in the Ukraine you have to put that on the blood of those millions of Christians. It was 16 million Christians or something. Some ridiculous number. This is before World War II. That died at the hands of the Jews. So if you keep on insisting that Hitler was a Christian, look at the Soviet Union. Now, I'm not going to insist that those were Jews, because Judaism is a religion. Those people were atheists. They didn't respect Moses. Just as I don't view Hitler was ever a Christian, is not ever a Christian, but was a Christian any of his adult life. The closest religion that you could say would be Theosophy, because he weighed Madame Blavatsky, but he also had all these other weird ideas and wanted to resurrect Nordic paganism. And maybe you can find quotes where certain politicians, maybe even Hitler, is placating the Christians. Look at the founding fathers. They said a lot of positive things about Christianity in the Bible. But they were deists. Of course they were. They were politicians. That's what you do. You lie to people as politicians. If your constituency is mostly Christians, are you gonna go out there and really say, you know what, I heavily doubt the fact that he was God. In fact, I can't stand the guy. No. You placate them. So you find positive quotes by people who lie for a living. And they were good God-fearing Christians. Thomas Jefferson totally believed in the deity of Christ. You can find quotes where he really, speaks to the deity of Christ. But yet we see the Jefferson Bible and what was in his own heart. So this idea Hitler was a Christian, or the Spanish Inquisition was caused by Jesus Christ or Constantine, or that it was a product of Christianity. It was a backlash against the Muslims that were raping Spain for hundreds of years. I don't care how many libraries they built. It wasn't their land, and they deserved to get kicked out of it.